And we are live.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, Melissa, and hello to everyone who hopefully is going to join this broadcast. And I do believe soon we're going to have more people joining us live. But in the meantime, it is a part one of mental health awareness podcast, mental wellness awareness podcast. Myself and Melissa, but truly lots input from Melissa. We are exploring and debunking myths about mental health, but primarily we are focusing on highly performing women, women who really struggle to say no, to struggle who look after themselves, who struggle to give themselves a little hug, and we are trying to empower them to find a space and time in their busy life to really embrace themselves, embrace you. And I'm putting back power to Melissa. Melissa, please introduce yourself once again. It's a part two. Part one you can listen on just before, just in case you want more information. But now, Melissa, it's your time, please.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. My name is Melissa Mellor. I am the CEO for Hey You Human. And Hey You Human is a globally recognized mental health and human wellness company. We serve both individuals and companies and corporations in over 80 countries around the world, teaching people what we call the new way to human, how to actually be happy, how to finally get off the struggle bus, finally get off the mental health hamster wheel, and actually anchor in and heal the triggers, the frustrations, all the parts of life that you don't want, so that you can make infinite space for all the things that you do want.
Oh, I love it. Infinite space. That's what we want. I think infinite space, Melissa, is that garden inside you. And we
Yeah.
had a great conversation just for a few moments with Melissa before we have started. And we will talk about that. That all starts in you. And Melissa will explore this, how to get into that authentic living, full of bravery, exploration of your deep parts, and how you can the best way manifest what you want in your life, whatever is that be for you.
Mm-hmm.
Melissa, please, just before we enter into this practical part of our podcast, remind everyone the difference. What is mental health, what mental health is not, and just in a very brief, short way, debunk certain myths. So if someone does not haven't seen our first podcast, can really slide into part two directly.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we all know mental health is mainstream is very much the health of your mind. At Hey You Human, we take that even deeper. It is the health of your mind, body, and soul, and it's connecting all the elements of your human to make a superhuman, a super healthy, happy, engaged human. And one of the things that I really like talking about when it comes to mental health is that we have this preconceived notion of what mental health is or mental health issues are. We tend to think of them as like a mental health issue when it becomes an issue. You have PTSD, you have overwhelming anxiety, you have postpartum depression, you have suicidal thoughts, you're in depression. We think, ooh, my mental health. When in reality, the mental health starts well before where, medicalized. It helps. It's really about your health, your mind, your body every single day. Even if that is hating the grind of getting out the door in the morning, that is impacting your mental health. We've just become complacent in our life, and we think that that's just a part of our life, and that's just the price we pay. And I am here to say, no, that's not the price we pay. That is the price that your mental health is paying. And it absolutely does not have to be that way.
Beautiful, because I think there is a big confusion between often mental health and mental illness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you talking about something that is actually before mental illness is happening. So we could I think, conclude that if we're going to looking after our mental health, there is and prevent expression of disease which affects the brain, right? This is the same as we are working on our body to prevent body diseases or illnesses, right? In a very simplified way.
Yes, very
Fantastic.
simplified. Yeah.
Very simplified.
But yes.
We want things to make simplified so everyone understands. Melissa, you did mention, we're going now into very practical part of our conversation, and we really, with Melissa, want to answer a question: how highly performing women, busy, stressed, often running with children, 40%, 50% of women who are starting businesses, entrepreneurial females, are actually 40 plus. So at some point, they're going to go through perimenopause, menopause. So health is going to be affected. Often they having children. Like I said, they having breakdown in marriages, different life events. It is not at 20 years old when you are flying around and all is cool, right? You have all those things happening. How those busy women, who I know having dreams, visions, passions, how do they have to look after their mental health? What are your best tips?
Well, my best tip, of course, is the rapid relief technique. This is Hey You Humans' proprietary method that really helps you get to the root of your emotions fast. And when I say the root, we talk about at Hey You Human, we talk about emotions and mental health very differently. We don't talk right now. Society has good emotions and bad emotions, right? You want more happiness, you want more joy, you want more abundance, you want to just feel light, you want everything to come to you. You do not want any sadness, any frustration, any stress, any anger. And what we're subconsciously doing, because we're trained to do it, is block out the negative and only focus on the positive. We literally just wrote an article about how the power of positive thinking is oppressive thinking, because it keeps us distracted from a good portion of our emotions. And as adults, the 40-year-old woman, and quite frankly, even 20-year-olds, we're not actually emotionally intelligent. We know how to suppress our emotions. We know how to ignore them. We know how to acknowledge them. We know how to say, that's not going to serve me. But we don't actually know how to process and feel them. This is a brand new life skill. And it's bizarro to think of learning this, in adult times, because it's very awkward. It's very clunky. You have a lifetime of shit, excuse my French, that you got to work on and you got to feel and you got to release. But the rapid relief technique is that life skill. It is what teaches you how to take a trigger, how to take a frustration, I call them visceral responses. I hate the word trigger because it's like our world now is like trigger warning. And it could just be as simple as somebody cutting you off in traffic. Your body has this visceral response. And the rapid relief technique teaches you how to use that visceral response to access a core emotion and release it easily and heal it easily, so that you're not living life like this negative emotion pressure cooker. I will say our body is a vessel, and it's holding as much in as physically possible. And we love the good, we celebrate the good, but anything that we deem negative, like, you're frustrated with your kids, you're frustrated with your spouse, you're frustrated with a client, you don't sit in it and you don't celebrate those negative emotions and you don't feel them. We ignore them. And so we just over time overlay one piece of crap after another piece of crap after another piece of crap until, I don't know, your kid spills some milk and you just explode, because your body was at its emotional capacity. And so the rapid relief technique teaches you how to relieve that pressure proactively so that you can just go through life neutral, like not even neutral, like really happy. Negative things don't just flare you up. You don't feel stress as a high performing woman anymore. You can see things very clearly as opposed to through an emotional charge. It's a gift.
I think self-regulation is a big problem, and I agree with you. We're focusing here on women, and I want to stay here. Men also have the same problem. They don't know how to self-regulate. That's why they have problem with hiding emotions, and I think they are very good example how you can hide emotions. But in highly performing women, we are having a very similar problem, because those women have to hide their emotions if they are working, for example, in corporates, right?
Yeah.
There is in a high business, high position, and often they are between men, and they have to take the mask, and they cannot tap into the feminine intelligence and emotional intelligence that actually I think is going to serve them, and is going to give them it's going to help with, for example, thinking process. So I think they're going to shine in this group rather than feel like suppressed, and suppressed with feeling self-worth, low self-confidence. How then let's say someone does not know, is hearing our podcast today and say, okay, I want to know how this work, and I don't want yet reach to an expert, I want first try myself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
How they can tap into this rapid relief technique?
I will explain it at a very high level quickly here, just so anybody who might be listening is aware. You can learn this full technique for free. It's something that you can do by yourself. It's not something that you require an expert to perform on you, which I think is really important, because we've started to create in the mental health space a dependency on other modalities, or our therapist, or our friends, or our wine, or whatever it is that we need to do to relax.
I like the wine.
Right? You
I
got
don't
home and you're like,
I don't relate, but I know that many women does it. It's the same with sugar.
yeah, you come home and you fix yourself a drink, or the kids go to bed and you fix yourself a drink, and it just helps your body kind of like take a breath. The rapid relief technique is something that you can do 100% by yourself. It is not overly complicated. Like anything, like we have a course that'll teach you how to, we have a free course, you can learn the basics of it. We do have a course that you can go through to actually proactively heal your emotions instead of being in a reactive state. So it's a really, it's a very powerful modality, because you can literally do it in your car, in your bathroom, in the bathroom at the restaurant, like wherever. It's not something that requires a significant amount of time, money, anything like that. So I think that that's a really important note. If somebody wants to learn about it for free, they can go to heyyouhuman.com, and right there, there's like learn the rapid relief technique for free. But to your question, how does it work? The rapid relief technique, I call it like a plunger. If you look at, this is such a gross analogy, but I think it's so perfect. When we look at our body, we have, or our human, we have been letting crap literally fester in our body. And I'm just like, you know, when you're like looking at a toilet and there's all this stuff in there and you flush it and you're like, kind of cross your fingers and you're like, I hope this isn't a problem. Yeah. That's what we're doing every single time we have an unprocessed emotion. And sometimes we flush and it might be slow. Sometimes we flush, not everything goes away. And sometimes we flush and there's this like gurgle and we do this like panic, right? And what do? We'll like spray Febreze. We try and like pretend like that wasn't me. Someone else just left that mess in the bathroom. We don't want to own it at all. The rapid relief technique is like the plunger for your pipes. It is what is literally going to push all of our crap out of our body, so emotions and experiences can actually flow freely. And what I mean by that is inside our body, we have energy centers. We have meridians that run through our body. And this is how energy and information is flowing through our body. This isn't woo-woo. This is science. There is a lot of like, some spiritual stuff that gets mixed in with it, but this is science around how information, energy, emotion, DNA flows through our body. And there are key meridians that when you have a clogged emotion, when you have an emotion that is left unprocessed, it starts to like cause traffic jams. Essentially, there are clogs that happen in our energy centers that prevent us from receiving information the right way, prevent us from feeling information the right way, and prevent us from being able to kind of look at the world clearly. We look at it through a dirty lens. And what the rapid relief technique does is actually cleans that emotional highway so that you no longer have this energetic or emotional traffic jam, so to speak. So that when you have a situation that might not be desirable, for example, feeling overwhelmed by clients, having a boss that you don't like, feeling like, you're short staffed and you're overworked, feeling like your business isn't taking off the way you desire, feeling like it is taking off and now there's all of this overwhelm, all of that adverse negative emotion can flow through you and not live in your body, which is what we've been doing to date. Is we've been receiving all of these emotions and then keeping them in our body. So then when we get more and more and more and more, there's a straw, there's a breaking point. And it usually happens to people that you love the most. It usually means you don't show up the way you want to for yourself, for the people that you love, for your family. It usually happens in a place that you feel really safe. You usually end up crapping all over yourself. You usually end up thinking less of yourself, and just letting your body internally deteriorate. So the rapid relief technique is what's going to teach you how to plunge the pipes so that you can do all the things that you want to do in your life, whatever that may be. Whether you're a high-performing stay-at-home mom, or you're a mom that has a powerful job and has her side hustle and is really looking for freedom, and anything in between, you can just live and go through life without having these like ups and downs.
Beautiful, and that's what we want, right? And we discussed this topic, and I told you that, how you doing, Daria? I said, this is the first time in my life I'm actually feeling so connected with myself that I feel so peaceful, and there is that deeper understanding what is self-love, and that is also that buzzword that we were discussing a little bit before we started. But all makes sense, and I hope that makes sense for people and for women who are listening. So if someone would like to start, is inspired by what you are teaching, Melissa, has to go to your website. Can you please remind once again how to get there?
Yes, you can head to www.heyyuhuman, just the letter U, so HEYUHUMAN.com. And on our website, you can learn the rapid relief technique for free. And it's a really great 3-module course that breaks everything down for you so that you have all the information that you need. We have a very deep misunderstanding of emotions and of our body. And so this course starts to break that down, starts to put you in a different frame of mind around emotions and around your body. Like literally, digestive issues, headaches, back and neck pain, poor sleep, acne, sore joints. Like there are just the pit in your stomach, your throat being sore. There's just so many warning signals our body is sending us that's like, hey, you need to address this. And the rapid relief technique is there to teach you how to use those irritants in your life to become a better human. And when you become a better human, you live a better life, and you leave a very powerful legacy for those that are in your orb. I always say, change yourself, change your orb. And when you change your orb, you can change the world. It's really that powerful.
Beautiful. And thank you for coming into embodiment, because that's, again, is very important. And I think most of women are ignoring, as you said, this analogy to the toilet apologically, it's good analogy because we are flashing the stuff and we are hoping that nothing is going to be left, and we are still, I think, living in a illusion
Mm-hmm.
that we don't, this is, our emotion is going to just disappear, or we're going to eat another cake or have another piece of chocolate or have another glass of wine, um, or have another shopping, buying
Yeah.
handbags or anything, and
Mm-hmm.
is going to go. But this is staying, and that is big time, because you have to dig the root of the problem. And I work so much, Melissa, from this holistic approach and root cause medicine approach,
Mm-hmm.
right? And for me, emotions, what I'm observing always are left, and everyone is afraid of them. And yes, you can go into diet, go into nutrition. We can do functional medicine testing, go with the supplements, go with gut healing protocols, go with detoxification. We can give you adaptogenic herbs for sleep. We can give you best workouts. But then, and that is what I always see in the best performing transformation clients, who actually lasting with changes and changing and shifting life, is when they are addressing what we are saying. So I do
Mm-hmm.
believe in everything, right? Everything. And I'm sure you are mentioning that food is important, because food is a messenger. If you're going to eat a highly omega-6 driven inflammatory food, your emotions are going to be worse. So
Yeah.
why to adding to the fire? Actually, tell me, what Hey You Human is teaching about movement and is teaching about nutrition?
You know what? That's not that, like, Hey You Human isn't focused on nutrition per se.
Mm-hmm.
That's not our wheelhouse. We have partners with
Okay.
people who that's their area of expertise. We really focus on the emotion. But here's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. When it comes to getting to that root, all of those things that you mentioned are very essential for the mechanics and the health of our body. The food that we put in it, are we moving our body, are we exercising, are we um are we doing things that light us up, or are you just sitting in front of your TV all night like zoning out? All of these things are very important. However, I will say, what society has started doing is using outside modalities to fix an internal problem.
Yes.
So I will often use the analogy of the warning lights on your car. Imagine your body is like, oh, my guts, and you're imagine if you took your car is like, warning, something is wrong, and you take it to you go to a mechanic, and the mechanic does its diagnostic, and they're like, oh, do you know what the problem is? You need to actually just park it in the garage. And you're like, that doesn't fix my problem. Like, that just makes it so that I don't have a problem. Or your headlights are flashing and they tell you to get an oil change. You're like, okay, like, I understand my car needs an oil change, but I don't feel like we're addressing the problem. Right now, what we're doing is we're focusing on all of these external pieces, and they're treating the symptoms, not the root cause. So what we're doing is we're only allowing the medicine, like the naturopathic medicine, the good food, the exercise, we're only allowing it to do 50% of its power, because our foundation, our emotions are still there polluting us. So when you have a really clean foundation, when you can get to the root and understand it, and then feed your body with delicious food, work out so that your body is in optimal shape, use different supplements, use different holistic modalities, your body goes from like reaction mode to primo. It goes from, instead of slapping band-aid, 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 band-aid by like gut health supplements, if you can heal the emotion, it gets rid of the problem, and then you can use those supplements to make your body even better. as opposed to using those supplements to try and fix a problem. And so right now we're just using everything to like fix a problem. And I get it. We're afraid to get to the core. The last time we felt an emotion was probably when we were 3, when our mom or dad was yelling at us and telling us to cut it out. That's a very traumatic experience to a young human who is learning how to deal with emotions. And so for some people hearing this, they might be like, oh, God, I don't want to go there. Because the last time I did that, I was judged, I was spanked, I was put in a timeout, I was told to stop it. Every time I needed a hug, I was told to like, you're fine, right? So we tell ourselves all the time, I'm fine. I'm just going to go and get my stool sample tested to see what's going on. We're afraid because we don't know how to deal with it. It's like, I think I used this analogy in our first meeting. It's like if I, as a 35-year-old female, decided I was going to want to learn how to play hockey, that would be ridiculous to watch, right? Like it would be so ridiculous. I would look like a fool. It would be terrifying. It would be embarrassing. And so I'm like, no, thank you. I actually don't desire to put myself through that. So I'm just not going to learn how to play hockey. And we're doing the same things with our emotions. We go to therapists, we logically understand them. We build boundaries. We create rules for how we show up in our life so that we can feel safe. Where for me, I'm like, feeling safe means you can walk into any situation and feel at home and feel good and feel like I got this. Even if you don't, this isn't a matter of being the smartest person in the room. This is a matter of understanding you're human at such a deep level so that you're just like here for it. You don't have anything to prove to anybody. You just are. It's very hard to even put into words to somebody who's like, no, I have to be the best. I have to be the smartest. If I don't know what I'm talking about, nobody's going to pay me. I don't want to speak up in the boardroom of all men because I'm going to be judged. All of that's, you can get rid of all of that, believe it or not, and still be you, just the actual high performing version of you, not the scrambling high performing version of you. I cannot express in words how it has changed my life and how it has changed so many other people's lives because they can love themselves truly. And that's like you said, self-love is such a buzzword and we don't know what that means.
Yes. Melissa, I'm listening you, and part of me is little bit with little, not disagreement, but I think I think little, I wouldn't say disagreement, because I think we are coming from just different angles into very same conclusion.
Yes.
That we cannot just forget and suddenly prioritize one thing.
That's right.
And that's what the industry is doing. Now let's just do training. Now let's just do nutrition. Now let's do mental health or emotional health. Because my experience with let's talk about this highly performing females is that even if, because they're very locked inside, and as you said, last time they were talking about their emotions when they were 3, and probably someone told them, you cannot do it, you are not good enough, right? Very often. But even if I, as a person who work with them, see this because of years of my experience, and for me, practicing a holistic medicine, traditional medicine, it's all about addressing whole parts of us. And this is where I see the problem as well, where therapists start to addressing one part and they never refer someone to work on another part that they don't know, right? I love referring, and I always refer if something comes out of my of scope of my practice. But then I had situations like that, right? I said, I think we have to dig here. And they're like, no, I just don't want to do that, right? So then for me to start to unravel them, I have discovered the power of movement and
Mm-hmm.
power of um, mm, naturopathic, of I practice precision medicine, nutrition,
Mm-hmm.
because this has the power to, on the biochemical and biophysiological level, change a
Yes.
little bit what's happened in that. Let's say, let's take the gut, let's take the gut brain connection. So believe me or not, they are beginning to open, and they are open to work. So that's, I think, is a magic of the body, because,
Yes.
and human being, right,
Yes.
and how we are amazing creatures, because body will somehow find the way to escape, but then somehow will find the way to actually go to that root problem. But
Yes.
then when the problem becomes, if therapist knows this, but they still continuing prescribing supplements, tests, do more workouts, do more. This is where I see the problem.
Yes.
That's why I agree on what you are saying, because I always
Yes.
say let's dig the root causes, because I know that, for example, parasites, bacteria, pathogens, for example, in a
Yeah.
gut, will affect someone's brains because they create
Yes.
inflammation, right? So,
Yes.
and whatever it's happening, this is not the podcast, but do you get what I'm saying? Right?
Yes. And it's not to say that like, oh, you don't need to worry about any of that. Only heal your emotions, because you're
Mm.
right. Like it's how we treat our human as a
Yes.
whole.
Yes.
And we are very good at ignoring our emotions, and it's almost becoming cool
Yes.
to, get your stool tested and to get your blood work done and to be on all these supplements and to remove things from your diet.
Yes.
We've accepted that. We're like, this is what makes me feel
Because it's
really good,
pretty easy,
because it's
Melissa.
easy.
Work on your
But
emotions is very difficult, because, as you said, you have to dig the shit out of you.
yeah,
And
it's like
exactly as you said.
if we use our toilet analogy again, it's
Yes.
like saying, okay, well, I'm only going to put the toilet paper in the toilet. Like I'm only going to put the toilet, I'll get rid of my fecal matter elsewhere, but I'm just going to let this stuff pile up, and then hopefully when I flush, all is well. It's like, no, 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 no. You want your pipes to be flowing no matter what you put in there. I mean, of course, like if we're going to be really logical, if your kid puts like a whole wad of toilet paper in there, like of course it's going to overflow. But it's about working the whole human and really treating your human with the respect that it deserves. And we're getting better at making healthy choices. And it always kind of irks me actually when I hear like hashtag the treadmill is my religion, because it is a coping mechanism. We're doing something for a brief reprieve, and while that works for a moment, I call it's a zero-sum game. It's one step forward, one step back, one step forward, one step back. You always come back to where you're starting. So if your goal is to heal the brain gut, um, um, I don't know what the right word is, but
Connection.
the
Connection, we can say.
connection, and to make a really strong connection, of course, the supplements, all of those, the holistic approaches are a part of the equation. But as long as you're stuffing this negative energy in your gut and you're not letting it out, you're only going to see a portion of the magic of what you talk about. Whereas if you can cleanse those pipes, those emotional pipes, that energetic pipe, it creates a pathway for your practice to work its magic and for exercise to feel better, so that you can enjoy what you're doing with your body, as opposed to feeling like you need it to feel good. Your body can just feel good and only get better. And so you're right. It's not just about one piece of the pie. It's not just eliminate dairy, or I'm gluten free, or I'm going to take these supplements, or if I don't run for an hour and a half every single day, my mental health is off. Like, guys, that is not freedom. That is not
Yes.
freedom. You've
I
become a
agree.
slave to maintaining your status quo and to just not breaking down.
Yeah, that's why diets don't work. High
No.
intensity trainings don't work. it is just we are like going around, and we are in the same with the same problem,
Yeah.
and diseases and chronic diseases. I'm putting them together. They are on the rise.
Yep.
Why? Because we never finishing the project. That's
Yep.
how I would say. Because
Yep.
people like come in, they do 12 weeks, 13 weeks, they starting 1st January come, oh, it's my wedding anniversary, whatever.
Right.
And they never want to change, and change lifestyle, change
Yeah.
who they were when they were 3. Now they are someone else because needs work. And who
Well,
wants to
and the
work? Everyone wants quick results.
well, and I think like one thing that I've noticed in our community is once you can get rid of the subconscious emotions, you actually can make changes in your lifestyle that don't feel like work, because we have so much self-hate and self-sabotage deep within us. We don't even know this. Someone said this to me before I started doing this. They had said I was frustrated about something, and I was like venting. And this was an RRT trained practitioner, one of the wonderful people on our team. And she was like, you're just like full of self-hate. And I was like, excusez-moi, no, I am not. I love myself. I have a very high degree of confidence. And she was like, and I do. And I did. I loved myself. I do love myself. But I did not realize how much on a subconscious level I was beating myself up. The subconscious it's so hard because you don't know that it's there, which is the beauty of the rapid relief technique. It actually starts like creeping up. It allows those inner thoughts to, I would always say it's like this nagging thought in the back of my brain. And then all of a sudden it's like, boop, it comes to the forefront. Like you know it's there, but you don't know it's there. There's an itch you need to scratch, but you can't quite articulate it. That's our subconscious is being like, oh, hi, you're fat. Bye. Like, and you're like, no, I'm not. I love myself. Self-love, body positivity. Like, not today. I'm going to wear that bikini. But there's this very, very deep-seated emotion that has been coded into you. And it's like we learn to live with it. So we never learn to question it. It's something that's just always been there. And the rapid relief technique actually allows you to start exploring that. And so once you can acknowledge, process, and get rid of those deep-seated things that, guys, like you don't even know. Like I can tell most women, like, let me guess, like, especially high-performing women, like always needed to keep up with the boys. We're told you were one of the guys. I never cry, like nothing frazzles me, has no problem working 12, 14, 15 hours a day. You want to be the one, you want to be the information source. Like I get it, because you have this deep-seated deep desire to be seen. And we end up just working so that we can get acknowledged, and we become addicted to that. That's how we get our sense of value. It's not from self-love. It's the same with moms who like the helicopter parents, or that have a really hard time. Like, oh my God, little Joey's like 5 and I've never left him. I've never been away from him overnight. You desire to be needed and to be seen. And we think that that's good parenting, but it creates a cycle in your body. Once you can, I'm never quick with anything, but once you can get rid of those deep-seated emotions, things like working out actually can easily become a lifestyle. Things like putting good, nutritious food in your body does not feel restrictive, because you're not restricting yourself. Your love for yourself grows. Your tastes change. What you crave changes, because you learn how to deal with your emotions in a healthy way. Like it's crazy. If someone said to me, you can't eat X meat, whatever it is, I'm like, I want it more. Diets for me never worked, because the second you lock me in, I'm like, let me out of here. I don't like this. I don't like this. My human does not want to be told what to do.
Your
Because as a
control,
little
right?
girl, that's what happened. I did not want to be told what to do. As I was able to heal that in me, it wasn't about my frame of mind changed. It wasn't about not being told what to do. It was about how do I honor my body?
Yes.
And that is a powerful opportunity to live empowered and free without it feeling like work.
Yes, I love what you're saying, because for me, it's always about the honor, how you respect your temple.
Mm-hmm.
It's something is that soul living in you. Like I was having once a podcast with not psychotherapist, someone who does psychology, but I don't remember the modality. But she said, we have to treat our body, because the soul lives in us, and then we are putting this bad food. But again, that comes from somewhere, and I completely align with everything that you are saying. That's why HPM wellness is about holistic performance.
Yeah.
We don't just perform to kill ourselves because we want to tap there, but we have this holism and whole person, whole human approach to get there. I don't want anyone to be in the position I was once and you were once,
Yes.
Melissa.
Yes.
That's why we're having this, I feel, very powerful conversation. Melissa, few more things. How other tips outside of rapid release technique, from your own experience and from what you are observing with highly performing women, how they have to tap into their authentic self, in their this potential that lies in them. And they have missions, visions, they have heart calling, right? How they have to get there to help them to go where they want to be in life.
My very first piece of advice to to anyone, women, high performing women especially, please pay attention to your body. Pay attention to what your body is telling you, and don't settle. Don't just be like, oh, my neck hurts because I slept on it wrong. Oh, my guts hurt. Like, really pay attention to your body. And I would encourage everybody to just start making a list of, in a day, the things that you are tolerating, the things that you don't like. And you don't need to make that list necessarily with the intention of changing it tomorrow. But if you're like me, like hating making lunches every single night at 10 p.m., like just start paying attention to the things that you are tolerating in your life. Because one of the biggest pieces of advice I want women especially to be aware of is how much we're giving our power away and how much we're settling on a daily basis. And we don't even realize it. I can't remember if I mentioned this in our first conversation in the podcast, but I think it's really important to reiterate, because women are conditioned to serve and to become servants. And we're starting to become, we're honoring our intelligence, our capacity, our desire to achieve, but we have not let go of our desire to serve. And even if you're listening to this and you're like, F no, I can guarantee you're serving your family and you're serving the people around you. And that's not to say it's a bad thing, but what ends up happening is we're using, we never have a chance to take a break. And we're putting our happiness in the hands of another person. Yes. As an example, again, back to like women who are mothers who are like going off to work. As an example, if my kids listened the first time, I would be more relaxed. If my husband did the dishes, I would have more time to work out. If I got paid more, I would feel valued. If someone gave me the space, if someone asked me my opinion, I would give it. We live our life waiting for permission, and we don't even realize it. And so I really want to encourage women I mean, all humans, but women in particular, to just tune into that. How often does somebody perform? How often does somebody show up as themselves and it has an adverse impact on you? Because that, and then what do we do? Husband, it sure would be nice if you helped out more. Kids, I wouldn't be yelling at you if I didn't have to ask you 7 times to pick up your toys. We are waiting for everybody to become a version of themselves that we want them to be so that we can be happy. And I really want women to start seeing that, not to start expecting less of people, but to start coming into yourself so that if you do have to ask your kids, your 5-year-old, 7 times to put his toys away, it is not the demise of your goddamn day. So that it's just, it actually doesn't have to trigger you. And that has been one of the most absolute powerful revelations for me in my marriage, in how I show up as a parent, and how I show up as a leader, because I no longer expect things of people. I can see them for who they are. And if something is irritating me, then I use the rapid relief technique, but then I can start seeing them for who they are as opposed to who I think they should be. And I can support them as opposed to change them. And I think that that is especially high performing women, because we're A-type. We want to control. We know how things need to be done. And we want everyone to be at the same level as us. And they're not. And if you can own your internal power and let people show up as who they are, it takes a lot of pressure off of everybody. And life just feels so easy.
Oh, that's beautiful reflection, very true reflection. I agree with everything what you were saying. I can relate to myself as well, Melissa. That's why you're saying how I am. I'm thinking I'm on the trajectory of stop to interfering. And I had definitely personality of interfering. I was athlete, I was performer, now I'm performer, but I call myself holistic performer. I'm trying to create a space between me and the reaction. And that's also, that visualization helped me. There is a nice clean space that I don't need to go, and if someone wants to go, that's their choice, right? I don't need to react. But self-regulation and emotional self-regulation and everything that you have discussed is just so valid, so on the point. And I hope that anyone who listen, man or female, high performing or not performing, if you're not performing high, I'm sure you have some desires. We all have potential in us, right? And we have all these big heart desires. I don't believe there is any person on the world who does not want to be more. So everything that Melissa you're saying is spot on, and I hope everyone is going to jump straight into Hey You Human website. Melissa, remind once again how those highly performing women can find you.
Yes. So you can find us at www.heyyouhuman. So that's HEYUHUMAN.com.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. You can, I think, find Melissa as well on LinkedIn, right, Melissa? On Instagram. I know that Hey You Human is on the Instagram. You have wonderful and very, very calm for our eye. Instagram, it's very human driven. So once again, Melissa, thank you so much. All valid, all on point. And this is a message for everyone. We are whole. We're not disconnected, and let's create wholeness back rather than create separation and separate now mental health, physical health. Then it's going to be again separately spiritual health. We are all. Thank you so much, Melissa, for joining me once again.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.